say you all inspired me just as much as I inspired you, and you allowed me to live out my dream every single day, and for that I'm forever thankful. So
we're gearing up for what promises to be an exciting day on the LPGA Tour tomorrow. The spotlight is on Caitlyn Clark, who will be taking the tee in a highly anticipated event.
I am absolutely over the moon.
Caitlyn getting involved is just, I think, another level of excitement.
Speaking of Caitlyn, her incredible achievements in basketball have been making headlines. The University of Iowa even announced they will retire her jersey, a well-deserved honor for such a phenomenal athlete. But Caitlyn's journey isn't just about her triumphs on the court. It's also about the challenges she faces and how she handles them. One such moment recently unfolded in a match that turned more dramatic than anyone expected. Caitlyn had just scored some impressive points during a basketball game. The crowd was buzzing with excitement when suddenly, a heckler's voice pierced through the cheers. The person, seated near the courtside, began yelling insults. They called Caitlyn an overrated player and even questioned her character, making hurtful comments that could shake anyone's focus. At first, Caitlyn did what she does best. She stayed composed and kept her head in the game. But the insults didn't stop. The heckler's words grew louder and more personal, distracting her during a critical moment. Determined not to let it show, Caitlyn walked back onto the court, leaving everyone wondering, how would she respond to this relentless taunting? This all happened during a friendly match organized by Coach Stephanie White, who had brought her team to Cleveland, Ohio. The game was held at the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, a change from their usual home court. Coach White wanted her players to experience a different environment as part of their preparation for an upcoming tournament. The venue was packed with spectators from all over, eager to watch Caitlyn and her team play. As Caitlyn stepped onto the court, she greeted fans warmly, her signature smile lighting up the arena. The game began, and as always, Caitlyn quickly became the center of attention. Her skill and precision on the court were unmatched. She moved gracefully, catching the ball and scoring with ease, drawing loud cheers from the crowd. But then, out of nowhere, a deep, husky voice cut through the excitement. "Loser! Loser!" the heckler shouted repeatedly. At first, Caitlyn and the other players ignored it, focusing on the game. The shouts persisted, though, growing louder and more obnoxious. When Caitlyn missed a shot, the heckler's laughter echoed across the court, followed by more cruel words. It became clear that the insults were aimed directly at her. Yet Caitlyn showed incredible resilience. She didn't even glance in the heckler's direction. Instead, she pushed herself harder, scoring a goal soon after, and sending the crowd into a frenzy of applause. But the heckler wasn't done. His taunts grew uglier, with words meant to belittle and provoke her.
We love to see a good clapback, right? And no one does that better than Caitlyn Clark. I mean, just a couple of days ago in her game against Louisville.
Despite the unrelenting distraction, Caitlyn kept playing with remarkable determination. The crowd could sense the tension rising, wondering just how long she could maintain her focus. Meanwhile, the heckler's words only seemed to escalate, and the atmosphere in the arena grew more intense with every passing second. The heckler, a test of focus for Caitlyn Clark. Despite the roaring cheers of Caitlyn's fans, the heckler's voice continued to pierce through the noise. It seemed like every time she played near his side of the court, he got louder, hurling even more hurtful words in her direction. Who was this man? And why was he so determined to target Caitlyn with such relentless insults? As the game went on, some of Caitlyn's teammates started noticing the heckler's loud taunts. While his words were hard to ignore, Caitlyn stayed laser-focused. She had a clear mission: win the game. Her team wasn't going to lose to the Las Vegas Aces, not if she had anything to do with it. The Aces were a formidable team, but Caitlyn believed they had what it took to claim victory. The challenge wasn't just the Aces, though. It was also the heckler, whose persistent voice echoed in her ears like an unwanted soundtrack to the game. Every time Caitlyn held the ball, the heckler unleashed another barrage of taunts, each word sharper than the last. She wished she could tune him out completely, but his voice was impossible to ignore. And what made it worse? The people around him did nothing to stop his nasty comments. Instead, some even laughed along, adding fuel to the fire. The turning point came just before halftime. Caitlyn was handed the ball for a free throw. The clock was ticking. 30 seconds left until the break. She gripped the ball, taking her position, her mind focused on the task. But the heckler was relentless. This time, he didn't just yell. He pulled out a small trumpet and began blowing it while chanting, "Overrated, overrated." His antics drew laughter from a few spectators nearby. But for Caitlyn, this was no joke. The pressure of the moment was already intense, and the heckler's taunts only added to it. As the crowd settled, Caitlyn looked over for the first time to see where the voice was coming from. That's when she spotted him, a chubby man in the stands wearing a big rabbit mask. The absurdity of his appearance might have made others laugh, but Caitlyn wasn't amused. She quickly shifted her focus back to the game. The referee's whistle blew, and Caitlyn made her move. With precision and poise, she threw the ball. It soared through the air and swished perfectly into the net.
Without them being able to contest.
Dennis Stolke posting up, but you know who they go to. 22 from the outside.
The arena erupted in cheers, drowning out the heckler for a brief moment. The referee signaled halftime, and as both teams headed to their corners, the heckler shouted once again, "Overrated!" Caitlyn heard him, but chose to ignore the insult. She walked confidently to her team, ready to strategize for the second half. It was a close game, with Caitlyn's team leading by just 6 points. They needed to stay sharp if they were going to win. Caitlyn knew they had to bring their best to the second half, no matter the distractions. As the whistle blew, signaling the start of the second half, everyone was on edge. The question remained, could Caitlyn keep her cool under this relentless pressure? Or would the heckler finally break her focus? Caitlyn Clark stands her ground. Both teams rushed back to the court, and the game resumed. Yet the heckler showed no signs of letting up. His taunts grew sharper as he yelled, calling Caitlyn overrated and mocking her skills. "Stick to what you're good at, missing shots," he sneered, his voice cutting through the noise of the crowd. The words seemed to weigh on Caitlyn, her focus faltering. She missed a clean shot, something uncharacteristic for the usually composed star. Her teammates glanced at her with concern, but she quickly nodded, signaling she was fine. But the heckler's laughter boomed louder. He didn't stop there. "Do you really think you belong in the NBA?" he shouted, his words dripping with sarcasm. Caitlyn clenched her jaw, determined not to let him get to her. She tried to block out his voice, but it was impossible when his taunts escalated. When she was pushed to the floor during a play, his mocking tone reached a new low. "Stay on the floor! That's where you belong!" he yelled, his words echoing in the arena. The tension was palpable as Caitlyn's teammates rushed to help her up. The referee blew the whistle for a timeout. Both teams were tied, and the game was down to its final minutes. Everyone knew what was at stake. Caitlyn returned to her corner, where the team huddled to strategize for the closing moments of the match. But then, something unexpected happened. Caitlyn stood up, a fiery determination in her eyes. Without saying a word, she walked toward the heckler. The crowd fell silent, their eyes fixed on her. What was she doing? Was she finally going to confront him? Adrenaline pumping, Caitlyn stopped in front of the heckler. Her voice was steady but firm as she demanded, "Take off the mask. Say everything you've been saying to me face to face." The crowd held their breath. This was a moment no one would forget. A rare instance of an athlete standing up to blatant harassment mid-game. The heckler, seemingly caught off guard, froze. For the first time, he didn't have anything to say. He refused to remove his mask, suddenly much quieter. His obnoxious bravado seemed to fade under Caitlyn's unwavering gaze. The arena was still, the tension thick in the air. Before things could escalate, sports officials and security quickly stepped in, ensuring the situation was under control. Caitlyn calmly explained how the heckler's words had been distracting her throughout the game, affecting her performance.
Taunting you?
Honestly, I have no idea. I was just trying to get to the handshake line and shake hands and, be grateful that my team was in that position.
The officials offered to remove him from the court, and Caitlyn didn't hesitate to agree. As security escorted the heckler out of the arena, the crowd erupted into applause, cheering for Caitlyn's courage. She returned to her team, more focused than ever. The final minutes of the game were about to begin, and Caitlyn was ready to give it her all. Caitlyn Clark's ultimate comeback. As security prepared to escort the heckler out of the arena, Caitlyn did something unexpected. She stopped them. Shaking her head, she motioned for them to leave him right where he was. The crowd was stunned. Why would Caitlyn want him to stay? After all, he had been a constant distraction throughout the game. But Caitlyn had a plan, a bold move that no one saw coming. Caitlyn wasn't going to let his negativity define the moment. Instead, she decided to show him and everyone else exactly who she was. Caitlyn Clark, the WNBA superstar, the 2024 Rookie of the Year, a member of the All-WNBA First Team, and the WNBA Peak Performer. She had earned her accolades through hard work and talent, and there was no way she was going to let anyone, especially a heckler, reduce her accomplishments to noise. The crowd erupted in cheers, energized by Caitlyn's confidence. She turned to the heckler, now unmasked, and with calm determination, told him to watch. "Watch me bring my A-game," she said, her words cutting through the tension like a knife. There were no more speeches, no arguments, just Caitlyn letting her actions speak louder than words. What followed next was nothing short of extraordinary. Caitlyn's energy on the court was unmatched. Every ball that came her way turned into a point, as if she was unstoppable. The opposing team tried their best to counter her, but it was futile. Caitlyn played like she owned the game, her focus sharper than ever. The Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse was electric, the crowd cheering louder with every move she made. It felt almost surreal, like a scene from a movie as Caitlyn dominated the court. Even the heckler, once so loud and obnoxious, sat quietly in his seat, arms crossed, watching her every move. His taunts had backfired, awakening a fire in Caitlyn that hadn't been seen in a long time. This wasn't just a game anymore, it was a statement. But Caitlyn didn't do it alone. Her teammates rallied behind her, amplifying her effort with their support. Together, they became an unstoppable force. The Las Vegas Aces gave it their all, but Caitlyn and her team were on fire. The final buzzer sounded, and the scoreboard confirmed it. Indiana Fever had won the game. The arena erupted into cheers, fans chanting Caitlyn's name.
I love watching her score and just everything about her. I got an Iowa t-shirt for Caitlyn Clark. We couldn't find a Caitlyn Clark one, so an Iowa one will do.
She had not only secured the victory, but also silenced her doubters in the most spectacular way possible. Caitlyn was named the woman of the match, and the heckler left the arena in shame. Officials warned him to stay away from Caitlyn, a fitting end to his unwelcome presence. As reporters surrounded Caitlyn after the game, she handled the moment with grace. Calm and composed, she spoke about the match and her encounter with the heckler. This wasn't the first time she dealt with someone trying to bring her down, she explained. Caitlyn recounted a similar incident in the past, where another heckler had attempted to distract her. She shared a powerful message. Naysayers and critics will always be there, ready to pull you down. But I've learned to block out the noise and focus on what really matters, the ball and the basket. That's where my energy belongs. Her words resonated with everyone listening, a reminder of the power of resilience and focus. Caitlyn's performance wasn't just about winning the game. It was a lesson in turning negativity into fuel for greatness, proving once again why she's one of the best in the WNBA. What are your thoughts on Caitlyn Clark's bold confrontation with the heckler? Share your views in the comments section below. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more incredible moments like this. Click on the next video on your screen. We know you'll love it. But hold on, this next story is a twist you won't see coming. Caitlyn Clark, the rising basketball star, wasn't expecting to face another unexpected challenge so soon. After a long and tiring day, all she wanted was a slice of pizza and some peace. What was supposed to be a quiet evening at her favorite local pizzeria turned into a chaotic moment she wasn't ready for. Let's dive into this crazy incident, which fans are calling Caitlyn Clark's pizzeria nightmare. Caitlyn Clark's pizza escape. It had been a draining few weeks for Caitlyn. games, endless practices, press interviews, and the constant pressure of being in the spotlight. Tonight, she craved simplicity. Her plan was simple. Grab a slice of her favorite pepperoni pizza, savor a little downtime, and avoid any attention. She headed to her favorite local pizzeria, a cozy little spot tucked away in a quiet corner of town. It wasn't a flashy place, but Caitlyn loved its perfect balance of crispy crust, tangy sauce, and gooey cheese. Hoping to go unnoticed, she parked her car a few streets away and walked in, blending in with the unassuming crowd. As she stepped inside, the familiar smell of baking dough and melted cheese hit her, easing her tension. For a moment, it felt like she'd made the right decision. Caitlyn placed her order and let herself enjoy the calm atmosphere, the hum of conversation, and the gentle clatter of plates. But just as she started to relax, a voice from behind broke the tranquility. "Caitlyn Clark! Oh my gosh, it's really you!" She turned to see a fan beaming at her, holding up their phone eagerly for a selfie. Caitlyn offered a polite smile and obliged, hoping it would be quick. The camera clicked, and she thought that would be the end of it. But before she could step away, another voice joined in. "Caitlyn, you were amazing at the game last week. Can I get a picture too?" Caitlyn nodded, her polite demeanor intact, but she could feel a ripple of unease. What started as one fan quickly turned into a small crowd. People craned their necks, recognizing her, and before long, the quiet pizzeria was abuzz with excitement. The line for pizza blurred into a gathering of fans, each hoping to grab her attention. The small space grew louder, the chatter turning into a low roar. Caitlyn's heart raced as the crowd grew closer. She wasn't ungrateful. She appreciated her fans, but this wasn't what she came for tonight. She had hoped for a quiet escape, and now she found herself in the center of an impromptu meet and greet. Caitlyn's mind raced as she tried to figure out what to do next. She didn't want to disappoint anyone, but the attention was overwhelming. She had come here for peace, but the pizza shop was now anything but peaceful. Stay tuned to find out how Caitlyn handled this unexpected situation. Caitlyn Clark's unexpected encounter. The sight of Caitlyn Clark in their local pizza joint had drawn a crowd, and despite her best efforts to stay calm and friendly, Caitlyn's heart sank a little. This was exactly what she'd been hoping to avoid. She didn't want to seem rude, but tonight wasn't about attention. It was about peace, quiet, and a slice of her favorite pizza.
But you did a really
That's
good job.
insane because we have the same exact toppings on the pizza.
But I just placed mine a lot better.
No, you just did.
Yes, I did.
And I don't think teammates have to be friends off the court. I actively choose to spend my time with her.
Resume named NCAA Player of the Year as she helped lead Purdue to the NCAA title in 1999.
From her standout season with the Connecticut Sun to her new role with the Indiana Fever, White's commitment to excellence, her ability to inspire, and her deep knowledge of the game make her a force in the WNBA. As she begins this new chapter, her vision for the Fever is clear. Build a team that competes with heart, resilience, and a shared sense of purpose. Fans of Indiana are excited for what the future holds under her leadership, and White is just as eager to see the potential of her new team unfold. Stephanie White had just led the Connecticut Sun to one of their most successful seasons, when an unexpected yet brilliant opportunity came knocking, one that would bring her back to where it all began. The Indiana Fever, the team that had always been close to her heart, offered her the chance to return home as their head coach. It was a once-in-a-lifetime moment, a chance to bring the national trophy back to Indiana and to build something special. During a packed press conference filled with eager reporters and hopeful fans, White stepped up to the podium. The room buzzed with excitement, everyone waiting for her to speak. As she looked out at the crowd, her voice trembled slightly with emotion. "This is more than just a job for me," White began, her words carrying the weight of years of connection to Indiana. "Indiana is home. The Fever has always been part of my heart, and I'm honored to have the chance to return and lead this team to greatness." The room was filled with applause as fans showed their excitement. You could feel the deep bond between White and the Fever's supporters, a bond built over years of shared memories. White continued, her voice growing steadier but still full of emotion. "I've seen what this team is capable of, and I believe we can bring a championship back to Indiana. I'm ready for the challenge." One name in particular stood out as White spoke about the team's future: Caitlyn Clark, the superstar who had captured the nation's attention. "With players like Caitlyn, we can do amazing things," White said with a proud smile. "She has the kind of talent that can elevate this team, and together, we'll work hard to bring the Fever back to the top." As White finished speaking, the room erupted in cheers. Fans knew that this was just the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with hope, passion, and the promise of a championship. White's return to Indiana wasn't just about coaching, it was about bringing the glory back to a team she loved so much. The journey to the top was just starting. Caitlyn Clark's rookie season with the Indiana Fever has been nothing short of extraordinary. From the moment she stepped onto the court, it was clear that she was a player destined to make an impact.
I idolized WNBA players growing up, and now that I'm here in this moment and I get to do the same exact thing, like, how lucky am I?
Her scoring ability, sharp shooting, and poise under pressure made her a standout, earning her attention across the league. Night after night, Clark showcased her incredible range, knocking down three-pointers with ease and demonstrating an uncanny ability to control the pace of the game. It didn't take long for fans and analysts alike to label her as one of the brightest young stars in the WNBA. In one of her interviews, Clark reflected on her rookie journey, expressing deep gratitude for the support she's received along the way. "I feel so lucky to have a mentor like Coach White who truly believes in me and pushes me to be the best version of myself," Clark said, her voice full of appreciation. "She's been amazing. She's taught me not just about basketball, but about leadership, hard work, and how to carry myself on and off the court. I'm lucky to have her in my corner." As she spoke, the atmosphere around her was filled with the energy of young players hungry to learn and the quiet respect of veterans who recognized her rising potential. The surrounding buzz of practice courts, the echoes of basketballs bouncing, and the sounds of teammates chatting in the background reflected the camaraderie that has been built within the team. Caitlyn smiled as she added, "Now it's my turn to give back. Everything Coach White has given me, I want to pass it on to the next generation. I want to be that leader for my teammates and for the Fever fans. It's time for me to show what I can do and help take this team to the next level." Meanwhile, at a press event in the Fever's home arena, Stephanie White was in the middle of answering questions from reporters. The atmosphere was electric, the room filled with the buzz of media personnel and eager fans. White, standing tall and confident, addressed the packed room with a warmth that conveyed both her excitement and deep connection to the franchise. "It's just incredible to be back home," White began, her voice steady and filled with emotion. "Indiana Fever is in my DNA. This is where my journey began, and it's where I want to continue to build something special. Coming back to coach this team feels like a full circle moment, and I couldn't be more excited to get to work." White took a moment to reflect on her relationship with her players, specifically Caitlyn Clark, whose talent she couldn't praise enough. "Caitlyn is a generational player, there's no doubt about it," White said, a sense of pride in her voice. "I've seen her grow and develop into one of the most dynamic players in the league."
Caitlyn Clark helped achieve at Iowa for the last couple of years, those remarkable ratings, the women's tournament outrating.
She has the ability to change the course of a game, and she's just getting started. Her work ethic, her dedication, it's inspiring to watch, and she's going to do amazing things for this franchise for years to come. The media room grew quiet as White spoke about her journey through the league, her eyes reflecting the depth of her experience. "I've been part of this league for 25 years, first as a player and now as a coach," White continued, her voice filled with both gratitude and reflection. "It's been an incredible journey, and I'm so thankful for the opportunity to continue doing what I love. Every step has led me to this moment, and I'm just so grateful for the chance to return to the Fever. This is my home, and I'm here to make sure we bring the championship back to Indiana." As White finished her remarks, the room was filled with applause. The energy in the air was palpable, a shared sense of excitement for what was to come. Fans in the room, many of whom had followed White's career since her playing days, felt a deep sense of connection to her words. The press event underscored just how important this moment was, not just for White, but for the entire Fever organization. The return of Stephanie White to the team marked the start of a new era, one filled with hope, promise, and the drive to compete at the highest level. For Caitlyn Clark, hearing White speak so passionately about the team and her role in it was a powerful reminder of how far they had come together. The rookie knew that her future in the league was in capable hands, and she was determined to help White and the Fever reach new heights. With White's mentorship and her own emerging leadership, Clark was ready to give everything she had to the team, not just for herself, but for the city of Indianapolis and the Fever's loyal fan base. As the press event concluded and White walked off the stage, it was clear that the energy in the room was contagious. Stephanie White's return to the Indiana Fever was more than just a new coaching position. It was a homecoming, a chance to revive the spirit of one of the WNBA's most storied franchises, to inspire a new generation of players like Caitlyn Clark, and to bring the national trophy back to Indiana.
Clark takes the league by storm in her rookie year.
The journey ahead was sure to be filled with challenges, but with White leading the way, the Fever were ready for anything. The road to success had just begun, and fans were eager to see where it would take them. Caitlyn Clark's arrival alongside Stephanie White to announce their shared vision for the future of the Indiana Fever added a layer of authenticity and excitement that resonated deeply with fans. As the two of them stood side by side at the press conference, the energy in the room was electric. This collaboration, fueled by their mutual respect and determination, signaled the beginning of something special for both the Fever and women's basketball as a whole. Caitlyn's journey to this moment had been nothing short of remarkable. From her college days in Iowa, where she became a household name with her incredible scoring ability, to now stepping into the spotlight as a rookie in the WNBA, Clark had proven time and again that she was a force to be reckoned with. Her path hadn't been easy, and it was filled with challenges, but her perseverance had made her a symbol of hope and inspiration for young athletes everywhere. "I've had to fight for everything I have, from my college days to now," Clark said, reflecting on her tough journey.
"You had an amazing game. You're a great player, but you gotta put some respect on LSU.
Nothing has come easy, but I wouldn't change a thing because it's made me who I am today." For Caitlyn, being a role model goes beyond the court. She made it clear in her speech that while basketball was an important part of her life, it wasn't the only thing. "Basketball is not everything for me," Clark shared with the crowd. "It's about being a good person, a good human, first and foremost. I want to show young athletes that it's okay to chase your dreams, but it's also just as important to be kind, humble, and to make a positive impact off the court." Her words struck a chord, not just with young athletes, but with everyone in the room. Caitlyn Clark was not only a rising star in the WNBA, but she was quickly becoming a leader in the community. The event was more than just an announcement about the Fever's future on the court. Stephanie White and Caitlyn Clark laid out a series of community engagement initiatives aimed at making a lasting impact. The pair spoke passionately about creating events where fans, particularly young girls, could meet their basketball heroes and learn what it truly takes to succeed. "It's so important for us to engage with the community," White explained. "We want young women to know that they have a place in every sport, including basketball. We'll be organizing meet and greet events so that they can come face to face with the players they look up to. It's about creating opportunities for women to feel seen, heard, and celebrated." Caitlyn Clark echoed her coach's sentiments, reflecting on the power of community and the importance of visibility for women in sports. "People often underestimate the love we have for basketball," Clark said with conviction. "When we were in Iowa, we played in front of thousands of fans, and the energy, the cheers, the love, it was incredible. It wasn't just about the game. It was about showing that women's basketball deserves the same support as any other sport."
I think the biggest thing is I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but I'm just going to enjoy every single experience that I have.
Her words were a reminder of the deep bond between players and fans, and how important it was to continue growing that connection. As the press conference began to wind down, both White and Clark stood side by side, their shared vision clear. Together, they were committed to electrifying the Indiana Fever and changing the landscape of women's basketball. The room buzzed with excitement as reporters and fans alike sensed that something special was unfolding. This collaboration between a seasoned coach and a rising star was more than just a partnership. It was the beginning of a new chapter in the history of women's sports. After the press conference, Stephanie White sat down for an exclusive interview where she couldn't help but praise Caitlyn Clark's incredible talent and character. "I've seen Caitlyn play since she was 8 years old," White said with a smile. "Her talent has always been undeniable, but what truly sets her apart is her drive to win. She plays to win, and she's relentless in her pursuit of greatness." White's admiration for Clark was evident as she spoke about how the rookie's passion and work ethic made her not just a player but a leader for the team. The partnership between White and Clark promised to add a new layer to the Fever's history. Their shared vision was about more than just basketball. It was about making an impact, both on and off the court. The camera flashes continued to pop as both women wrapped up their announcements, leaving the stage with a sense of anticipation hanging in the air. Fans and reporters alike couldn't stop talking about what had just transpired. There was a palpable sense that this was the beginning of something bigger than basketball. As they exited the stage, the crowd erupted in applause. Fans were energized, their excitement for what was to come clear in their cheers. This wasn't just a new era for the Indiana Fever. It was the dawn of a new chapter in women's basketball, one where young athletes like Caitlyn Clark could thrive and inspire future generations. Stephanie White and Caitlyn Clark had already begun to redefine the future of women's sports, and the world was watching. Their collaboration, with its focus on community, empowerment, and visibility for women in sports, had set a new standard. Both White and Clark were committed to leaving a lasting legacy, not just as players and coaches, but as catalysts for change in women's athletics. As they closed the event, the excitement in the room was unmistakable. The future of the Indiana Fever and of women's basketball was brighter than ever.